Yo, what's going on, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to 42 West 18th Street right here in New York. Whoa. See, it's always, if that's the worst thing that happens, I'm good. I got my guy Nick Dabas with me today. What's going on, player?
What's up, bud?
Filmmaker, photographer, lighting tech, DP. I mean, as far as visuals and creating a story, this is my guy over here. Before we get going into that, I want to say special thanks to, boom, Pelican. You guys know Pelican. It's literally a noun for a protective case, right? We say Q-tip, we say Kleenex, we say Pelican. So if you guys want to check out flight cases for you to go on the road with your gear, protect it, get around where you're going, or just keep your stuff together and protect it, check out the links down below for the Pelican stuff that we got here at Adorama. And if you want, stop in and see Maury. He loves showing Pelican stuff. So if you want to see it in person, 42 West 18th Street, come swing right through. And I want to thank Sail Away cold brew, man. We're doing cans of cold brew right now. Look at this. I got the classic
Not
black.
bad.
What'd you do? Classic black too, right?
Yeah.
So this is nitro infused cold brew, and we're giving it a shot today. Sail Away is called Sail Away because it's founded by a musician who traveled the world and just wanted to put out a coffee that he found encompassed everything he found in his travels as far as his eclectic palate goes. And if you guys want, you can check out the code Adorama15 on their website if you guys want to save some cash on a subscription service to Sail Away Cold Brew. All right. Boom, boom. There's that. And bingo. Woo. There we go.
That was a lot.
You got, no, it's every time it's a lot. All right, so Nick is kind of like an OG here at Adorama. Every time he comes in, Maury gets a little sweaty. Everybody gets a little nervous because he's going to drive you crazy. Because
No.
I think because, one, you're so seasoned. You know exactly what you're looking for. You know exactly what you want out of gear. And you know what you're trying to achieve as far as projects go. And you just came off of doing an Adidas commercial. You've been doing a lot of quick work, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I just did a TD Bank commercial. It's like a social commercial. So that was the first week of January, which is crazy to have a job in the first week of January.
Well, Nick will just come up here. He'll call us while he's driving a giant grip truck and go, "Is Fernando around?" And then we got to come downstairs, and he's got a fully geared out grip truck ready to go, because you're really doing this. You're not just some guy that's like trying to figure it out. You're like writing treatments for brands. You're trying to get the equipment to people to rent. Like, you rent out your gear, don't you?
I rent out the gear. I try not to anymore because, to be honest, it's been taking me away from DPing. So when I produce a project, I have all the lighting gear, and I have all the lighting gear and grip equipment. So I'll just hire a gaffer and they'll work on the project.
Yeah, and then
because I personally, I can't. Like, I used during the pandemic, it was a little funny because I didn't want to sit home, so I started gaffing a little bit instead of DPing as well, just to try to fill up my schedule. And then I was like, what am I doing? I got to get back to filming. So
yeah, but light. I mean, we worked on a quick 1 minute film together, and you really quickly showed exactly. I haven't seen you on set go, I wonder what this will look like. You go for it. You even switch your lenses, knowing the color space will change. Let me go to my Cook lenses because I know those will shoot warmer. Like, these decisions are only come from experience. Yeah. And I think you applying it the way you can do it just makes you the go-to guy for so many people. Yeah,
and this is the thing. It's like, with owning gear, it's a super big business decision, right? So, like, it's a commitment and it's a lot of money, and I did a lot of trial and error in my life, and I think that now, like, I'm finally in a great place. I have my set of lenses, and then I also rent a bunch of lenses as well.
You're smart with it.
Yeah. So, like, personally, owning gear has been great for me because, like, I went to college and I took up.
What?
I did my associates, right? So, like, I went in for graphic design, and then I got a job, doing like graphic design work, magazine work for a month, and I was like, what am I doing? I don't belong in a cubicle. I don't belong in an office. And I bought a camera and I started shooting. And then I bought more and more gear. I used to come here and learn stuff and play around with gear and stuff like that. So, like, eventually I found my way on set. Yeah. And I used to photo assist as well, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think
so that helped.
That's
working
super
with
important.
Flash and working with HMIs. So, like, I started dabbling with video, which I always wanted to do. And photography helped me in a way where I can go out with like a smaller camera and light with continuous light like I would for video. And now I'm doing that with the film cameras.
Yeah, and you're you're actively looking for what the gear gives you. I think a lot of people just get stuck in the specs, but you're like, no, I know this Leica will do this. And every time a camera comes out, I know it's like 37 minutes before he texts me or calls me like, yo, bro, how much would it be? How can I get? What could I do? I mean, GFX 102, the second that came out, text me.
I know. I would love to play around with that. I'm still using the S1H.
The S1H is dope.
And this is still a sample that I got from Matt.
Shh, they're gonna take it back.
No, they're not gonna take. They're not taking this back. It's already written off.
When that camera came out, it was a big deal. I mean, we're talking about a handheld cinema camera, basically.
Dude, the grip
has Varicam in it.
Dude, the grip is peeling off. It's like this thing is. It still works.
It's still got an active fan in it. It still does everything you need. In fact, one of the first things we connected on was the S1H video, and this is how ridiculous Nick gets. My man,
and how old is this?
Oh,
when was this? Like
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
And the best part is that I'm really happy that Lumix came out with the L mount, which is a Leica mount, and they actually.
This is you on a forklift that we found a guy and you talked to him when you're like, hey, can we use the forklift to get a crane shot for this video?
Yeah, look, now looking at this, I probably wouldn't recommend doing that, but I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you know, at least we had some grip equipment that I was able to get strapped in safely.
No, yeah.
But
this is the shot and it looks great.
Yeah, and look, you got to utilize what you have. Like we didn't have much. Like back in the day, I had a Toyota Highlander. I filled it up with stands and lights, and we just did this project. You know, I didn't really have much gear. I had like a couple lights. You know, Matt gave me the Leica lenses to use.
Although when he says Matt, he's talking about Matt over at Panasonic Lumix.
Over at Panasonic, yeah.
So this just so you guys have an idea, this was for like a 1 minute short film, 2 minute maybe.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 minutes. Yeah,
and this is how much he threw into this. It wasn't.
I cut that night.
Yeah, you did cut it that night. That was crazy. He texted me. He's like, "Did you just get that thing from Nick?" I'm like, "What? He cut it already?" I'm like, "But if you have a vision, you already know where the pieces go." But like,
and my brother was directing this thing, and he didn't even cut it or sit down with me. I had to literally cut it, and then I got on a plane, flew out to LA to show the film off.
And this was like
for the S1H launch. It was
and
crazy.
This wasn't one shot. You were like, I need a close up of the phone, like a Scorsese style. I need this. I need the whole. Like it was the whole day to just get 30 seconds of this video together. And that really, I don't think people understand that part of it.
Yeah,
how much more it takes.
And you know what the crazy thing is? I look back at this and I'm like, this is not the greatest thing. It's not. But at the same time, like we just listen. It's shot nice, but there's a lot of things that I would do now that I have learned differently.
That's everybody.
You know, but you learn. If I didn't do this, I wouldn't have learned the mistakes. There were so many mistakes that we made here.
Yeah, but you know
who
what?
cares?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't fail, you're never gonna know.
But that isn't a failure. It isn't like the audience was going like, "What is this junk?" Only you really are understanding what you could have done.
Maybe a little too much haze. Maybe a little.
Look, he told me to hit the haze hard, and then we'll wait for it to dissipate, and that's when we'll shoot. So don't start doing that.
No. You know.
But a lot of things happened on that day. You had to switch actors' roles. People had to learn lines fast. I mean, you went from the main boss character switching to a completely different actor and you just roll with it, right? I thought it was really good. My favorite part of the whole thing, I don't think do we have video of this? He bounces a light off of the subway. Like
the bridge.
The bridge. I mean we're talking, it's gotta be what, 50 feet?
Yeah, maybe more.
He what was it, an RE7A?
Yeah, it was a RE L7C. It was a broken light that I got for like free. And I sent it to Ari. I fixed it for like $150. And then I was like, oh, this is not that strong. But then it actually created some sort of.
Oh, like, here it is.
You could see it. It created some sort of like ambience.
It was a fill. It was like a huge fill. But
it actually worked.
Which was, he's just like, huh, and just points it at the.
and I'm like, I didn't even realize it would actually do anything.
No, it was great. And I this little tiny sample of what Nick did for this short film is a prime example of the kind of guy you're going to get when you hire him, because he's going to get it done one way or another, no matter what. He's got the toys, he's got the technology, he's got the know-how. I mean, you're literally pointing. Look at how tall that is. Look at that. There's Pat.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Like this shows like, look, we were shooting on a DSLR and we were shooting on the Leica Summicrons. That shows how important lensing is to a camera.
Oh no,
it really does. Like your lens choices really make a big difference, because it's just like, it is the look and feel.
Well,
Totally.
the color spaces in your glass, people don't talk about that, right? They think
it makes a
this
big
lens on a
difference.
different camera, like you're going to get a completely different
Yeah.
result. The way I always go by is I invest most of my self and everything into my lighting. If the lighting isn't there, it doesn't matter what else I'm using.
Yeah.
So lighting, then lens, then the camera. The camera I always swap out.
Lighting
The lens,
is so important.
Lighting is everything.
I mean, now I'm spoiled. I shoot on the Alexas. So like I shoot on the Mini LF and a 35. So like, you know, for me, I don't really think about the camera anymore. I really want to sit down with the directors, focus on the creative, because that's the most important thing. Cameras is like secondary. I don't
You always trade the camera out. The camera always change. You keep the lenses and the cameras come and go.
Yeah, and lighting to me is more important than anything else. Like
it sets everything.
Like making things look as realistic as possible, and like essentially what you're doing is, as a DP, and I'm learning this in the last 2 years, is you're literally taking the vision that the director sold, and you're making that believable or making it happen.
Yeah.
So like
you're translating.
Yeah, you're translating what that person sold.
Yeah.
To the client. So like whatever that is, like you have to adjust. Whether it's not about what shot looks cool, it really makes a difference when you're making that vision come to life with the director. Like the director's vision that he thought, like, all right, I'm gonna sell this project to the client, and he's not thinking about like the technicalities half the time.
No, he just knows what he wants to get done.
Yeah,
you're the guy.
You're the guy. Yeah, you're the guy. It's your job to do all that stuff. So like, and your job is to like go to your crew and say, hey, look, this is what the director's thinking. Let's try to make this happen as best as possible, as quickly as possible. So like even for this TD Bank job, like I had 5 scripts in 2 days. That's a lot in a house, in a location. So like all practical lighting. I had 1200s outside, so Godox 1200, Aperture 1200. I had the Vortex 8. I also had a SpaceX. I had light panels. I use everything.
You have a lot of light panels.
Yeah, a lot of light panels, a lot of quasars.
Yeah, you showed me your collection of quasars.
I have like 16, 17 quasars.
Like, whoa, man. It looked like an aisle at Home Depot. I was like, what is going on over here?
And I have I still have I have 30 L7s. I got a bunch of lights. So like when I go out, I like to use a lot of light. So like if I'm at a location, I'll blast the windows with lights, so I don't have to light inside.
Well, that's how Game of Thrones is basically shot. It's like
because the blocking is the most important thing, right? Yeah. Because like if I'm in the way of the director's vision, I'm creating a problem.
Have you had a director that like you haven't gelled with on chemistry level and like the project just wasn't moving forward?
No, I try not to work with people like that.
But it's got to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah, but like there's a lot of conversations, like even this Adidas commercial, like there's like the client, the agency, the production company would have conversations. And this is vertical. I hate vertical. And there's the 16:9 version that's going to come out on my Vimeo soon. So... But this is all Alexa 35, Mini LF, and signature zooms and primes. So I'm really, really excited to use those lenses. You know, I didn't think I was going to like them in the beginning, but they're actually beautiful. They're clean. They have a beautiful look to them.
It's kind of hard to find bad lenses these days. I got to tell you, like everything's like amazing. And that brings me to the next question is like, with all the technology and the cameras getting smaller and the gear getting more accessible, do you feel that like it's not that it's making it easier, it's making the bar higher? Like you have less of an excuse?
But I think like I just did a Vibram commercial recently with the Komodo X and the DZO Primes. And like those are $1,300 lenses. Yeah. And I called up Fernando like right away. I was like, dude, this is crazy. These lenses are amazing for the price. So like I go from shooting those lenses, which are $30,000 each, and on a $100,000 body, to now shooting $1,300 lenses on a $10,000 body.
So what do you think?
Not that it's cheap, but it's just like it's a huge price gap.
So what do you think? What do you think the advantage of using those $30,000 lenses are?
I think the color consistency, definitely. The way that the focus throw is, there's a lot more depth in the focus. So like with the thinner lenses, where the cheaper lenses, you get a thinner fall off, right? So it's like it's focused and then it's not focused. So.
And focus breathing probably too.
Well, breathing is not an issue because like, look, Cook lenses I've been using for my whole life, and those breathe like crazy. Yeah. Anamorphic lenses breathe like crazy. So like when I see people complaining about breathing, I'm like, guys, unless you're spending a ton of money on lenses, like what are we complaining about? And most of the time, people are not focusing Yeah, if you're focusing from here to
Long throws.
long throws, and you don't want the audience, depending on what the story is, it doesn't really matter.
I think some people get obsessed with breathing. Like I actually care about breathing.
They obsessed with breathing, flares, look. It's like,
but it's the way you use the lens. Like, for example, if I'm self-filming myself and the thing is breathing and it's freaking out like this, I lose my mind. So
100%.
like, if you don't lock down the focus and you're moving a little bit, the focus breathing is jarring. But if you're setting up shots, you are putting a lot into the mapping out of your shots. I don't think people realize how much goes into the planning before you hit record.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the last thing you do is think about the camera and lenses. Like you're talking about creative with the agency. Most of the time, you're going through storyboards. They're changing up what could possibly happen, right? Because like the client could have a vision, but the budget's not there, right? So now we have to. So like they could say, oh, we have, $500,000 on a 4-day commercial, and it's like that's still not enough money, right? Like you're not going to be able to get a techno crane or a dolly. Like when we were shooting the Adidas commercial. No joke, we're trekking down 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
On like an angle, that's like a 45-degree angle. You're not going to get a Fisher dolly down there.
Well, also, like, how's Nick gonna afford these chains without that?
No. He goes,
how's he gonna afford that stuff?
Listen, I got this from my parents a long time ago. Don't give me slack for that.
No, if you guys in the chat,
I would not buy jewelry anymore.
If you guys, you got to hawk that when your career's down, you pawn it, and you get it back out.
Yeah, that's I'll come back here and buy some lenses.
Bother Maury. Maury's like, I don't need any more gold. If you guys have any questions in the chat, this is why we're live. Go for it. But I mean, I think it's really amazing watching you work sometimes because I'll tell you, some people, if they're not used to you, it's a lot, right? I mean,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. But the second I knew I was going to like Nick was when he pulled out this 2x4 and there was incandescent light bulb socket screwed onto it. God. And I was like, oh, and he's like, Roger Deacon this, Roger Deacon that. And
I mean, listen, I think everybody has tried something like that.
Yeah, but it looked great.
It looks great.
First of all, I think a lot of people that aren't really deep into it, they just picked up a camera, they look at tungsten light like, oh, it's orange.
No,
but if you grade for tungsten light,
oh, it's beautiful.
You have no idea the color spectrum you get. Skin tones through tungsten light is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think when you use the tungsten light with the Cook lenses, because I believe that Cook has really nice skin tones.
It does, yeah.
And
the flares are white. They're not like so whatever that color of that light is, it kind of like adapts to that flare. It's really cool.
And the aberrations aren't there.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So what are you looking for in the industry going forward? Like you've got so much gear. You've got so much gear experience. What are you looking for?
No more gear.
No.
Like to me, like I bought the gear and like. Realistically, like I don't want to buy more gear, right? So like
nobody does.
No,
they just want it. They just want to have the gear.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, it's like I want to focus on more creative stuff. I want to shoot feature films. I want to shoot more short films. I want to do more commercials.
Well, I think where you're primed at is since you're so geared up and you are one of the fastest guys I think out there. You're able to shoot a proof of concept, show them something.
That's where the gear comes in. It's like you can achieve something without spending money, which you are spending money, but it's also an investment in your career, right? Yep. So like whether you go to film school, photography school, whatever, or not, I would rather go buy a camera and go out and shoot. Because you're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes in the industry.
I think it's also important to get around people, though. You got to get around. Like
and there's a lot of people. There's a lot of different personalities.
Yep.
You have to adjust yourself.
They have to want to work with you.
100%.
That's the problem. I think people don't get that. Is with makeup artists, I will hire someone that I know will show up me dependable over someone more talented, maybe.
100%. And you want to be around more talented people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that's like, yeah, I know everything, and everybody works under me, and I'm the boss. And
you want to aspire.
Like I want to like. To me, I look at like a PA one day could be writing a Spielberg type film.
No, it's true.
You cannot. You have to treat everybody equally. And you have to take everybody for granted.
Well, also
you can't just be like, oh, he's a PA, whatever.
You don't treat him.
You can't treat people like that.
Well, it's also this is a world of relationships.
And I've seen people do that, and it's messed up.
This industry is about relationships.
Yeah.
I've gotten jobs at the weirdest times because I was nice to a catering guy who was there because the producer was his brother, and they're like, this guy was all right. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you got to give everybody a chance.
Then stop driving Maury crazy.
No.
Would you stop? Hey, what's up, man?
No, but at the same time, like I like to give everybody a chance. Like even when I'm on set, even though I'm the DP, right, and I'm listening to the director, sometimes like the gaffer will give some sort of advice, or like you'll hear something, you don't want to hear too many ideas, but sometimes you hear something, or they'll say something to the director. I'm not gonna like interject that conversation because who knows? It could be a really good idea. I might not look at it that way.
Well, everybody's got tunnel vision.
100%.
And then when you get these other perspectives, the tunnel vision start crossing. You cross the streams, man.
Yeah. That's why when I'm like DPing, I got the headset on, right? Sometimes either if I'm on behind the camera or not behind the camera, sometimes like people are throwing ideas and I'm like, they think I'm ignoring them, but I'm not. I'm listening to everybody and trying to process and watch the image and make it come to life as best as I can.
Well, you also got to be able to adapt. I don't think any plan has ever stuck through.
No, it's not.
Like ever.
No, it's not.
Not with you.
No. Like even like the Adidas commercial, like we were in the park in Riverside and like, we're up and down the hill nonstop. We're dealing with Parks Department not, opening the locks for us so we can like easily access our gear. And like, dude, it takes an hour and a half, 2 hours just to load in.
Yeah.
So it's like that could eat up the schedule big time.
Yeah, but I also think that where we are with the gear has made a lot of things change. Like loading in and out is not what it was 15 years ago.
No. Now you got like studio carts. Like I got studio carts. Like I'm all about safety, right? So like if I can buy the trucks and have all the gear on carts, have the right stuff, like innovative carts. I bought studio carts. I have mag liners. I have everything.
We get it. You buy stuff. We got it.
No, I know,
we
but
understand.
I just try to make it easier. Like I've been there working, and like at the end of the day, my fingers are killing
you. Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want
glove up.
I do, but sometimes you can't work with gloves. Like you're like freezing. You're trying to like
little knobs.
Turn the knobs. It's like it's impossible. Or like the cameras hitting the buttons on the cameras. You can't.
Yeah, touch screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that. Is there anything that you feel technology-wise you've been getting in this industry that's inhibitive? Like you think that it's like, this is actually making it like counterproductive?
No.
We've been moving forward pretty good, I think.
We've been moving, like small HD's amazing.
Yeah. Like
they're getting really good. The colors are amazing. They're actually like, the one thing I love about small HD, and I was like an old user of what are they called? The Odyssey 7Q Pluses. Remember those old monitors? I still have them and I love them, but the problem is the dynamic range isn't there, right? So they'll clip the highlights and they'll clip the shadows, which is good, but also if you're in a high dynamic range scenario, the Cine 7's the best. So like I have the Cine 7, I have the 18, I think it's called the Vision, and by far you can calibrate them and the dynamic range is amazing. I could see the shadows and the highlights perfectly.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much it goes into having an ecosystem that talks
my
well.
God.
You can have the best this, but if in the chain,
monitor's the most important thing.
Oh yeah?
Hands down. Before you get a camera, before you buy lenses, get monitors. Because if you're on set and your monitors are calibrated, now you're looking at a consistent image from start to finish.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Because if your monitor, if you rent a monitor, I've rented so many monitors and they're like super green, right? You're looking at the monitor and you're like, oh, that image looks green. And all of a sudden you're like adjusting the light, a little more magenta or whatever. And now guess what? Now you go into post and they have to correct it again.
Yeah.
So having a good monitor makes a big difference.
Well, I also think that because a lot of our audience is primarily stills people, and I don't think they understand what color grading is and how like
it's very different from Photoshop. It's like
go for it.
It's like video. It's like the image is moving, so you're dealing with motion blur. So like your shadows, highlights, and well, now they have like DaVinci has like HDR wheels.
Right. Yeah.
So those are totally different.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're affecting the highlights in a different way.
I don't think like there's such a difference. People think it's just flicking a switch on your camera, but like with stills, you're literally trying to make something perfection happen in something that you can't escape. In video, if there's, I don't know, shadows flying around, cool, they're moving through a scene. It doesn't matter. But if I shot it like that as a still, it's like this lighting's awful. There's no narration. There's no dialogue to get lost in. There's no character to connect with. So like you're kind of leaving up to the viewer in stills their story. You're telling the story.
Yeah, and also with stills, you're also still, right? So like no, it's true because like in video, like whether you're shooting a commercial or a film, you're listening to the blocking of the actors or the models or whatever you're shooting, right? So like if they're moving around the scene, you have to light as a DP to that scene.
And where
they have to be able to move around. They
Right.
can't like 1 inch or 2 inches away. The light is gone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to kind of like it is. Oh really?
Black?
What happened?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Keep talking because I got.
No video. Did it shut off?
You know what? I lost.
When did it go black? Recently?
I lost the AC power to the camera.
Oh shoot.
I got it. Just keep talking.
Talk. I'm talking.
I have a question here.
Yeah, yeah.
In the chat, what do you think of the Shinobi 7?
Shinobi 7. I to be honest, I had really bad color issues in the beginning with Ninja monitors. I don't know how they work now. But once, like, I'm the type of person that once I find a good product, I stick to it.
Focus.
Oh, it's a little blurry. Yeah, once I find a good product, I stick to it. Like Airy cameras. Hold on, let him get the focus first. I'm looking.
You also don't got to talk to him when you're talking.
Okay. So yeah, like, you know, I try
Sorry.
to stick to one product because I don't want to change products, and you know, small HD is great, and Sony monitors are great as well, but now they stopped making the OLEDs for Sony, so like now I'm on small HD completely.
All right. Sorry about that, guys.
But the Ninja monitors, I've seen a lot of people use them. The Shinobi, I haven't used it, so I can't really speak on it, but I'm sure it's gotten better because LCD and OLED technology has gotten really good in the past couple of years.
Yes, sorry about that, guys. The USB-C hookup I had to the camera is apparently not plugged in on the other end, and I can't get to it right now. So that's what's going to happen. Have extra batteries on hand.
It's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Next time, you know, you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
see?
you know?
Every
Every time.
there's a lot of
I'm going to hear about this for the rest of my life. Okay. It's all good.
Oh no, it's all good.
No, but I think the perfect example, the key to this is don't let it stop you and don't freak out about it. There's never been anything solved by freaking out or like just move forward. What could it be? And just troubleshoot it. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
God.
don't be afraid to ask too. Like most people will just say no. Like that's the worst thing that can happen.
That's true.
Right? So like I get people that hit me up all the time on Instagram, and you know, they probably think that I wouldn't respond, that I do respond. I'm not all on Instagram too much, but I have to. That's like 2024. I have to do that. I have to get better at it.
Yeah, but you're working.
Yeah,
Like you're working.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. I have to be more proactive and post more. I try.
Well, if you want to share the work beyond the people that you're working with
Yeah.
or where the end product goes, but I also think it's important for people to know who did that thing they saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you see in a
Like
campaign,
sometimes I can't even post it. Like
you
until
can't-
it's out.
you can't post
like
it, ever.
I was just able to post this Adidas thing, and I can't post all 5 videos because they still didn't release the video. So like, you know, hopefully I'll, you know, keep getting better, get more BTS for people.
and I also think it's in our heads to be like, we need to be active on
know.
stuff. But if you're actively working, actively talking to the people that are hiring you, or you're doing the projects you want, what's the social really doing for you aside from you just sharing what you want to share?
Yeah.
So
I think it helps to a degree. I mean, we're definitely moving as a social society, especially like the camera world. I feel like a lot of people are looking at stuff. It also, like, this is the whole thing. Like, I don't mind vertical video, but I don't like it personally. I don't think that we see the world this way. I think we still see the world in anamorphic, to be honest. That's really the truth, because like, even though like I think they said like we see the world in like a 40 or 50 or something like that. That's like the vision, but it's like 40 or 50 anamorphic.
Well,
so it's really like a 28.
so the 50 millimeter thing, right? They're talking about a focal length, not a field of view.
Not a
50
field of view.
millimeter could be 68 degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? But at the anamorphic thing, it's really interesting you say that, because we're seeing, first of all, I'm noticing the general public is getting sensitive to aspect ratios. Like, look at that Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. It was square, and everybody was like, wait, what? It's like, he has a vision, whether you like it or not, but this is the guy you're choosing to, you know, go see
Yeah.
his work of. For whatever reason, he chose to do that in. And then you're like, no, stretch it.
Well, yeah, and I love the old classic formats like anamorphic. I like 4:3.
4:3
I
is
even
nice.
like shooting open gate like on the Alexas like 3:2.
Mm-hmm.
That's like cool, like that's full 35.
But it is a
it's a
choice.
look.
You're giving the palette to the viewer of what you're putting in there, and the 4:3 look to me looks like 4x5 stills.
Yeah.
It has that same like not rectangle but like square rectangle.
Yeah, it's a little wider than the square.
Yeah, I mean that's how this shoots.
I love that.
Yeah, I think it's. But then what are you applying it to? So for me, for portraiture, I like that.
100%. So
So-
it depends on what you're shooting.
So
if you're shooting like a classic film or love story or something that fits that aspect ratio, then you can go for that.
So that's another reason of pick it, right? Is like what era are you trying to hit? If you're doing like a period type feeling thing, or even something that's modern but with the genre of something in the past, maybe that aspect ratio is what gets your viewer in that headspace.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's got to be frustrating if you're working on a project in midway, you're like, you know what, we should have shot this 4:3 instead of 16:9 or something.
Well, yeah, that's why like pre-planning all this stuff is a huge big thing about it. Like even a commercial like the Adidas commercial, we were talking like 2-3 weeks before, sharing boards back and forth before we even went on the court to even film.
Well, I think that's also this is a super advantage of something like
yeah.
this. It's like a proof. It's like a director's
100%.
proof.
100%.
How much did something? How much did getting that handheld change your workflow?
Not a lot, because I just feel like this is a great tool to have, and I always shoot in the 40. I have a 1970s Leica 40
Yeah,
on
this
here,
is pretty rad actually.
and the one thing that I like to start with 40 is because 40 full frame to me is 40 full frame, or in Super 35 it's 28
Right.
or 29, right? So that's like the focal length that I automatically start with, either the LF or the 35. So I start with that. Usually I shoot a lot on Tokina Vista primes now.
Yeah, I remember when you started
Yeah.
like Tokina.
And the crazy thing is I could have bought a bunch of other lenses. Like I like the Pancros. I like the Tokina Vista primes. I love what Atlas is doing, like
Yeah,
with
but
the
you can like
Berkeley's.
lenses, but you have to kind of understand what each lens is doing to select them.
Yes.
That's the biggest
And it has to fit your vision. And look, not those lenses I have, they don't fit every single vision of every project. Right? So like you can't be emotionally attached to those lenses. I love those lenses, but at the same time, I have to respect the director's vision, right? So if like I don't have any Cook lenses anymore, which eventually I want to buy some Cook lenses later on. But like maybe there is a classic story or a period piece that you want to film older vintage lenses on, right?
Yeah.
I would have to rent those. You can't buy K35s or old school Cook Pancros or whatever.
Yeah, but you're also looking for a character, right?
Yeah, so it depends on what you're filming or shooting.
I'm gonna say if you shoot something like super commercial, they're gonna want clinical clean look.
Yeah.
So
Like even this TD thing, like they're shooting vertical, so he didn't want any swirls around. So like I had to use the Tokinas because they were cleaner.
Well, there's actually a question about that. He's like, sorry if I mentioned this already, but when you shoot jobs, do they usually ask for vertical versions as well?
A lot of times they do. Yeah. And that's the hardest part, where you have to shoot 16:9 and vertical at the same time. So
How do you do that?
it
What's that work?
honestly, it sucks because it's like, it sucks because like one frame is going to suffer.
Yeah.
So like even with the Adidas commercial, like I had to shoot a little wider and back.
Yep.
So make sure like
Yeah.
you still have to have the headroom for 16:9, and you still also have to have the headroom for 9:16.
What do you say to people that are like phones are gonna just be everything? Where do you see that happening? Because they shot the Apple the announcement thing all on iPhones, but then like $1 million in lighting. So what do you?
Yeah, I mean, look, and they still shot that in horizontal. So it's like, it's
point.
really not that hard to just turn the phone sideways. I know it's a little annoying, but it's
But what do you think about this replacing, a cinema? Because they're using the word cinema with phones now.
it's not the same.
Why?
It's a different medium. It's not the same. I do love the iPhone format, right? Because it's a 2:1, and I've grown to love the 2:1 format. I just got those new Atlas Mercury lenses, and when you do a 3:2 open gate, when you de-squeeze 1.5, it gives you a 2:1, and it fits on this phone perfectly. And I'm shooting a project right now about a handball player, like a Nike spec sort of.
Yeah.
And we're shooting that in open gate, and it's a 2-to-1 and it's beautiful. It's a really cool format to shoot in. And it's also like, you know, I hate saying this. Everybody always complains, oh, this camera's not Netflix approved, but like 90% of those people are not shooting anything going on Netflix. So like, I don't even know what the hell these people are talking about. You know what I mean? Like,
it sounds nice, dude.
yeah, it sounds nice, but at the same time, like, look, I'm still shooting a mini LF sometimes in 16:9 downscale to 1080, right? Most projects don't need 4K, you know. So like, I don't know, the whole K format is stupid to me. I think that
really,
yeah, because like realistically, like, look, all cameras are good now. Whether you use a Sony, a Red, an Arri, it doesn't really matter. I've shot them all. I've owned a Venice for a while. They're amazing.
yeah.
The Sony lineup is great. It depends on what you're doing. You know, Red is great. You know, so like, yeah, one menu system might be different than the other. Panasonic's great. I wish they had more support for Panasonic, but you know, Panasonic they need to step up their game a little bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love them. I love their cameras. I think every camera is good. Every piece of gear is good. It just depends on what you have access
It's
to.
application. It
Yeah,
really is
100%.
application, what you're trying to get out of it. And a lot of times people get stuck in like, well, if I only had this, like, do you?
Yeah, but if you only had, like, this is the thing, man. I look at it like this. I worked my ass off. I'm sorry for saying ass. I worked my ass off to save up to buy these Arri cameras, right? I've started with a 1DC. That was my first camera. And that was a bougie camera back in the day.
Back in
the day. But to be honest, I should have bought I was moving from stills to video, and I should have bought a dedicated video camera, something that shot video. And then I moved up from that to a C500, and then I bought a Vericam. So like I did all my trial and errors, and I saw the quirks in every single one. At the end of the day, every client wants ProRes, right? So
Explain that, because I think people don't get what ProRes is like the most used format out there.
You know what? You know what's amazing about ProRes? ProRes is, yeah, it's an archaic format. It's not the most efficient, but it is the most efficient because you can actually play back on a laptop. Where all these other Kodaks that like Sony has theirs, Panasonic has theirs, Red has theirs, and they're great. They're more efficient technically for the camera, but when you go into post, it's not. Then you need to make, you know, transcodes and stuff like that. So I shoot ProRes almost 90% of the time.
So it was like the biggest thing when I come out the Z9, it had ProRes in it. Everybody was freaking out over that. It had a ProRes in it already, and I was like, cool. And you know, I didn't know the importance
but
of
every
much.
ProRes is very different, right? So like, Arri has mastered that ProRes format. Sony is just getting it with the Venice, and then also Red is doing a very good job with ProRes. Like when I took Fernando's the Komodo X, I shot ProRes 444 on that little Komodo X.
Right.
And when I went to post with it, which is not going into post, I cut it myself because there's no budget. I just did it myself. Yeah,
Fernando gave me no budget, so
no. So like I had to cut it myself, and I was like, wow, I was telling Fernando, I'm like, damn, these lenses they're good for the money. You wouldn't think like that's a $1,300 lens, and also like Red is doing a really, really good job on making that image look amazing. That IPP2 profile, which sounds funny. Like, I don't even know who names these things. It's like IPP2. It's like,
I know.
You know, but like, yeah, it's a really good format, and it's actually really good because Red gives you the ability, and you know, I shoot on Arri, but like I shoot on Red too. I shoot on everything. But Red gives you the ability to go from no contrast to contrast. So to be able to do that in post when you're shooting a log image,
right,
regardless of how you view it on set, it's amazing, right? Because like, let's just say you're shooting a sunny day, you're like, on set, it looked great, the contrast, but I'm like, you know what, let's pull down the contrast a little bit. That's a click of a button, and you just changed it.
Oh, everything.
And then you can start grading. And I think that's a really cool thing to have. You know, so like every camera's got their pluses and minuses, right? So like, I think that a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I had an Arri, I wish I had a Red. It's like, just shoot the camera you got.
It's crazy. Like every camera over there gives you such an amazing image.
They all shoot really good.
people are like, oh, this looks great. This is a Nikon Z6 II. And it's like, oh, this video looks great. It's like, everything's going to give you a great video. It's what kind of video you get out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes to what you're doing, how important it is the final result and having an idea for that final result, because you're going to grade it eventually. So now you got to go with what tool will get me to this kind of grading.
And I'm going to speak about this grading thing because I get this so many times, and I've been on set so many times where somebody be like, oh, you got to try this LUT. And it's like, that's cool, but we can't use that LUT because I'm lighting this scene right now, right? So like, this is the thing. Everybody, this is what I've seen online. Everybody sells these LUTs that go in the Sony FX3s or like the Reds or the Aries or whatever. And I'm so against using LUTs, right? I like to use the manufactured LUT, the 709.
Rec 709.
Rec 709. If you go to a proper colorist and they do a grade, cool. But if somebody is just coloring something because they think it's a cool teal and orange look, it's not good, because what you're doing is you're lighting for that look. Where did they grade that look?
Right.
What scene? How did they light that? So now you're lighting based on that look. Is your camera good enough? Unless you're shooting on an Alexa 35, you are not going to have a good result in post. It could be too noisy. It could be blown out.
It's two languages trying to work at once.
You're better off. My whole thing is, and everybody's like, oh, it's not filmic. The image is so bland when it's in 709. That's great. That's why we have post. So shooting 709. 709 is designed by the engineers to maximize your highlights and shadows.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to take that light for that, and then later on, now you can manipulate the image the right way.
You want the
and I'm not a
game,
colorist.
Yeah, but the name of the game is to get as most information at the time of shot that you can have, so that you can make decisions after the fact to get it there.
Yes, and I see the biggest mistake that everybody does when you are filming. Okay, it's so important to go back into your camera, whether you shoot on Sony, Red, or whatever, or Arri, is make sure you have a log-based false color. If you have false color in your camera, do not use monitor based, because monitor based is you're not seeing into the highlights and shadows. I want to know exactly where my highlights are clipping on both ends. I want to know where my middle gray is sitting, because if you are using 709 or a LUT, so fine, use a LUT, but monitor in log.
Right.
Right. So when you're
what you're getting.
Know what you're getting in log. So like when you do your false color, you're false coloring in log. Right. So like that's the most important thing I've seen, because a lot of people I see like, oh, they'll hit false color. I'm like, that's not the right way to do it.
What do you think about all this camera raw stuff we got going on?
What, like ProRes RAW and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I think it's not great.
Really?
No, because it's like look, it's either you shoot in RAW, which is like Red RAW, Arri RAW. Sony has the XOCN, whatever it's called.
Camera's raw. Yeah.
Camera's raw.
Yeah.
ProRes RAW is cool, but it's almost like what Blackmagic is doing, right? Blackmagic is great, but they're doing their own B-RAW.
Yep.
Granted, they're doing it with DaVinci, which is a great program.
Yeah.
And I've moved
which is free, guys.
from that, which is free, and it's incredible. Honestly, like as like a person that doesn't invest so much time in post, I think it's a great way to start, and you can maximize the color that way.
Well, so there's actually a question about like how is film grading different than grading in stills? Well, he's kind of explaining it, right? Like when we shoot stills, we're kind of in there.
Yeah, and remember, guys, I'm not a colorist, right? So like, I know how to color some of my stuff because like sometimes we don't have.
Yeah, but you understand it.
Yeah, I understand it, but like also there's like these colorists are like scientists.
I know,
man.
they're crazy.
It's like they're insane. Like the way they know how to manipulate the colors and the shadows, and they can like that 10 to 15% that they're gonna. It's so worth like talking to the post house and like letting your client know, hey, like this project could be 10, 15% better. And that 10, 15% better is way better. Like you could take it right there.
It's impactful.
It's so impactful. And it's like the way they do the film grain and the way they do all that stuff, like textures and stuff.
They can mask your skin tone out worry
out.
about the rest of it, and then
100%.
come back and fine tune skin tones. And you'll see that on commercial stills.
Yeah.
When you're seeing guys shoot medium format for commercial stills, the skin tone is graded separately from the rest of the
Yeah.
image a lot of the time. We're getting, I will say there is a lot of overlap starting to happen between like cinema and stills, because I think
Yeah.
the gear is doing it so much.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, and look, a lot of times, like, I'll work with a director that's like, you're in charge of post. You talk to the production company and you deal with the post house. And then sometimes the director, I'll get like revisions and I'll put my notes, but like at the end of the day, it's the director's vision.
Right.
And I have to respect that as much as possible. So like I can give my notes, but like even with the Adidas thing, like we were both on, her and I were both on that same ground. So like there wasn't an issue, but like there is times where like you would communicate with the director and the vision doesn't match.
Oh, forget, it's just like, and the director is your client in the end.
It is your client, and I have to please them as much as possible. And a lot of times, sometimes they have a vision that I have to execute. I can't.
I'm with you.
You can't fight on that idea.
I get art directors all the time for still campaigns that are like, here's a mood board, I want to go this way. And I'm like, all right, it's a check and I got to get through it. Or I didn't even realize they were going to edit it so much in post, because I don't like retouching. So
And you will work on projects like that you're like, there's projects that I'm like, I'm not putting that on my website.
That's what I was about to say.
Like pharmaceuticals or ads or what,
But
or like things like that. I'm not going to show on an interview or whatever.
I've shot
like
commercial stuff where I'm like, wow, you've edited this so much. It's basically like 2D now. And there's no depth to it. I'm like, I am not even going to say I did this. I'm not going to show like, and you don't want to put out this stuff on your style, because then you're conflicting a client.
Yeah.
So it's like, you did the job, let's move on.
And that's like the thing, like I just got an Alexa 35, like the first one, like last year or year and a half, whenever that thing first came out. And the one thing, like, I'm still learning how to use that camera. Like with all my experience, I still am learning how to use that camera, because every time I use it, it's still, I'm like, holy moly, this thing is like, it still like surpasses what I'm thinking is the maximum capacity of that camera.
Like the range you're saying?
The range. It's like, so like what I think is like clipping or what I think is middle gray is not.
Oh,
so like I'm so used to the older Alexa sensor, which is still amazing. That's like even surpassing that. So like I'm still learning how to like light for that camera as a DP. And like, and the best part I love about it is they have these textures and grains. So like if you want to implement your work as a DP, if you're like, oh, I want to put some grain in there, you can.
Yeah.
And like the nice thing is they have this thing called log to log. So it's no longer like a 7 or 9 workflow. It's more log to log. So they delog it and then they apply a look. So it's like a secondary process. So you have your primary and your secondary, where the other way around was I think it was always going into the primary and then they would do a look.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, so like they did this new technology, which people are still trying to figure out. That's like where like
That's breaking habits, isn't it?
it is. And like Arri always does this. Like they'll be like, oh, this is the new mount, this is the new standard, or like this is the new battery standard. Everybody has to like adjust to their standard. But I'm like, everybody's still using PL, everybody's still using gold mount.
Right.
So like they like with this new workflow, obviously it's just for the Alexa, but I think Venice is doing that too. Like that workflow. I think it is a new technology and it's the new.
If it's more ideal, why not, right?
I think so.
You feel it's more ideal?
I think it's more scientific, and I
Okay.
think a lot of DPs and creators are not scientific.
No.
But to the colorist, I think it does make a big difference. I still am figuring that out. I'm not the most experienced in that, but I'm trying to read about it, but also not trying to get too technical.
I think for creatives, that's one of the biggest death knells, is not being able to assimilate and pivot with the way things are changing. I mean, I saw that with stills guys not wanting to learn video, and it's like, cool, your client's going to want video.
It's nervous.
Yeah,
It's like a nervous feeling.
It's old habit. I mean, if you got to know the old RE sensor, which by the way was around for literally ever.
I know, and it's
hard.
It's like the best. When that thing came out, that was the camera that we put on the pedestal.
Yeah,
And,
well, yeah.
and we were like, this is the best. I mean, the shadows, the range, everything about it. And that was 1080. So that's like, you look at that. And I have the Amira and I have 5,500 hours on that camera, 2 sensor replacement or 1 sensor replacement so far. that camera's still going. And I shoot 3.2K. I shoot 1080 on it. It's still amazing.
I mean, don't you think? I know you're like 4K whatever, but like, don't you like the ability to crop in there and move around your frame a bit?
No.
You
I frame.
You shoot to kill, man.
No, it's not shoot to kill.
No,
But, like,
I'm in the same vein. He knows.
I like to. I don't like the whole reframing thing.
I'm not into it either. Yeah.
I think the one thing I look at the one thing I like about high resolution is when you do downsample. Like on the Alexa,
yeah.
on the Alexa 35, like I'll shoot open gate 4.6K, and then when I do give out a UHD downsample or a 1080, that downsample is so nice,
It's crisp,
and it's clean, and the noise is cleaner. Not that camera has noise. Like the older Arri sensor has a lot more noise, but the downsample. That's what I loved about the Venice too. You shoot 6K, 8K, and then you downsample to 4K. That image is like. It's like there was something about it that I always said, like, I miss shooting commercials on the Venice because it was so like polished. It looked like it was like a piece of glass. It was amazing. Like it was so nice.
How do you deal with these massive amounts of data we're creating now?
That's the thing. That's why I got rid of the Venice.
Oh, really?
Oh my god.
Because of data rate?
Because of data rate. Yeah. I love that. Dude, that image, the Venice image is on par with the Alexa. It's all different, right? So like I hate comparing cameras because like even the Alexa 35 and the Mini LF, I hate matching them, but a lot of times I don't have the money for two 35s, which I sound stupid and spoiled when I say I have a Mini LF and a 35. I'm grateful for that, but like at the same time, like I hate matching cameras. I like shooting one camera unless it's a commercial. Right? Then you can like mix and do whatever you want. But like, I don't like shooting crossovers with two different cameras because you'll never get them to match.
Yeah. It's funny because in my Discord, there's a whole like crazy discussion. Like people like color science doesn't matter. You're going to do like, are you out of your mind?
No, it makes a big difference.
Everything.
I don't care what colors you have. It's like, why drive them nuts? You know what I mean? Like if you're going to shoot LF, if you're going to shoot Venice, FX3, whatever it is, just have two of those, shoot them. They'll match. Every camera is going to look a little different.
Absolutely.
They're never going to match.
It's just interpreting.
Yeah.
It's not, when I heard that, I was like, you're out of your mind. Like, well, I'm just going to.
No, it makes a big difference.
Everything makes a difference.
It makes a big difference.
The personality of the camera comes through the entire way, no matter how much you manipulate.
Even my Amira, even that. So like the Mini and the Amira sensor, which is the original Mini sensor.
Yeah.
That sensor looks a little more green. On the Mini LF, they fine-tuned it. It's closely matching the 35 a little bit more, right? So that and the 35 could match. The Sony Venice, Sony does a really good job with matching their sensors. So like I've done jobs with two Venices and they look perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So like same thing with Red. The sensors sometimes are a little off. They're getting a lot better. So like knowing your sensor and your sensor colors, matching those is going to make a big difference.
And it's efficiency.
100%.
You just want to get to the end result without as much roadblocks in it as you can,
Yeah, I think like, to be honest, I'm not like a brand, like I'm not like committed to any brand. Like I shoot Arri because like, I don't want to think about the camera.
There's no ring.
There's no ring here. No.
Well, there's a question in the chat, which I think is interesting. How do you see the new people... How do you see the new Apple Vision Pro affecting your filming? We're going to be asked to shoot in three-dimensional space, like 360
Well, I've been
spaces.
doing that from the beginning. Like one of my first jobs, I shot for Madison Square Garden. We were doing, what is it called? It was VR in the beginning. We were shooting a VR experience for the Oculus headsets.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole purpose of that shoot was to shoot the hockey games like the Rangers. We were shooting boxing matches. We were shooting the Knicks games, even though they lost. Even though they lost every year while I was shooting, like I wanted them to win some games, and I'm like, we were like courtside shooting, and I'm like, it was like to bring.
Oh, Nick, I love you, man.
Look, the Apple Vision Pro is great because I think a lot of companies are gonna like shoot commercials, shoot ads for that because let's just say there's a game, for instance, or a commercial about something, or like Super Bowl commercials, for instance. I'm sure I don't shoot Super Bowl commercials, but the person that is shooting Super Bowl commercials, eventually, hopefully one day I will, but eventually somebody that's going to shoot something could target that audience that's in their room in Alaska or like somewhere that's not in the area, right? That's why when we were shooting the stuff for the Oculus, we were shooting to the people that don't have access to that game.
Yeah,
and they were able to look around, and they can go from like the food stand and go to the gift shop and go to the games. We went inside the locker rooms.
What did it take to film that?
Dude, it was like literally positioning this. It was like a Nokia. It was like a Nokia 8K camera, and the processing. I had to literally buy like a 48 core PC that I built from scratch with like 5
cores?
and like 5 graphics cards. I forgot what it was to render these videos in like not real time, but it was like an hour delay. So like it was a lot of processing power.
Yeah, it sounds massive.
A lot of hard drives, a lot of processing. It was like when we were renting that thing, we had like 50, 60 memory cards. It was like crazy.
I think cards, you can't shoot the drives?
No, we were shooting to these drives. It was like SSDs and like little memory, like these little memory SSD cards.
Do you think that's going to be like overtaking? Do you think VR is going to be overtaking? I don't think so.
To be honest, I don't think so. I think there's a place for everything, right? So like, I think for the social world, yes. I think social's been big, but like at the same time, like people still want to, like, I still want to go to the theater. I still want to see the film. I still want to see the ads. Like I get excited when I see these ads.
The only
video.
guy on earth that's excited for the ads.
I love seeing the ads.
Oh, trailers are different than ads.
Question. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
But along the lines of what Seth was saying, in your transition from stills to filmmaking, what was like the biggest realization that you had? That something that you thought was like harder, and then you started doing it.
So, because you guys probably can't hear it, he's asking from your transition to stills to filmmaking, what was your biggest hurdle, basically? What was the hardest thing to transition?
I think just like I went cold turkey and I just went straight to film, and like you're not making any money.
It's costing a lot more.
It's costing a lot more. You know, the investment from photo to video is a lot more. People don't realize like it. I went from shooting, DSLR film or photos to film, and then like learning like, all right, there's a lot of like quirks about DSLRs, and then going into actual cinema cameras. So like the cost is so much more expensive.
Yeah.
Right. And like look,
even audio, there's so much more factor.
Yeah. And thankfully I don't have to deal with audio right now. Like we would just hire a sound person, but like, yeah, like in the beginning, like you do an interview, you want to buy audio, you got to buy all that stuff, try to make a living. And then like, eventually you figure out what path you want to go, right? Mm-hmm. You got to figure out that path. So whether you want to be a director, a DP, a gaffer, whatever you want to do, there's no wrong path, right? So like you pick that path and you do, whatever you do, I think you have to focus on, you're going to make it a business. You are a business as a person. Right. So like everything you do is an investment in your life. Right. So like whether you sacrifice the time to learn all this stuff, and you will have jobs that you're missing occasions. Right. And you're going out and shooting things, and it's not going to turn out the way you want. Right. Because like photo is so different than film.
I think it's
a different way to light it.
There's a different target. There's a different target and result and application of it.
Like I was telling you before, the blocking, right? So when you shoot photos, the person is there, right? You're shooting a portrait or whatever. And what I've learned in film is it's more about the blocking. Unless you're shooting an interview and they're not moving around, you have to light for the scene, right? So you're almost lighting like a 180.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part. I think just learning that, and like you have other people. You're not like the photographer. You're kind of like the person, where the DP, you're not. You are the person making that vision happen, but you're
one
getting
part
that
of it.
vision from the client, getting it from the director as well.
You're one part of it.
You're one part of it. There's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So
no pun intended.
yeah.
No, this is, guys, don't forget to hit the like button if you guys are watching. It definitely helps Nick out. The only way he's going to eat today is if he gets enough likes.
Yeah. And this coffee's like,
I'm like,
I'm like, no water today, just coffee.
Eric in the chat, Eric comes here for all the events and we can't thank you enough, guy. He's asking if you have any suggestions for getting yourself out there as a creative.
It's just networking, meeting people. And just like, I think this is why I love shooting stills. I still shoot stills to this day, is to express what you're doing, right? Like that's the most important thing. Like if you look at like my photography on my Instagram, I translate that into my film work as much as I can, but sometimes you can't, right? So like, I love shooting stuff at night. I love shooting moody stuff. So like, oh yeah, that was one of the screen grabs for the Godox video.
The Adorama
like,
video.
Guys, think about it like this. That whole set, that looks like a trailer, and don't mind the crappy craftsmanship of woodworking. I'm not a woodworker, but I built that set in an hour before Seth and
he built the room.
Fernando came over to my house. I built my room to look like that. That wasn't even a real set. It was just like a couple walls from Home Depot.
I'm going to get that video up.
A couple 2x4s and some blinds, some cheap blinds that we bought for $20. And we made it look like it's inside of a trailer.
What was it? This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Seth here had a good idea.
What did I?
Yeah, you did. With the 600, we were able to put it inside and create like some sort of texture on the walls.
Oh, right, the blinds thing or whatever. Yeah. Man, I don't even remember. But yeah, I mean, there it is.
Yeah, that's the 1200 bicolor, which is a great light. And this is before my garage was even like built out.
And he kept the tags on all that stuff to return it.
No, I didn't. I actually still have all this stuff. And look, that's like, I went to a thrift shop. I bought like old newspaper clippings. You know.
You were making something happen. Yeah. It was only for a few seconds of film to show an example.
And the crazy thing is we're shooting at night. So like that 1200 was so bright that,
is that the one? Yeah.
that 1200 was so bright, like my neighbors thought like an alien or UFO landed in my backyard.
Also, it was so cold, just so you guys know, we took out the instruction manual and it was frozen, cracking. Do you remember that? We were like my hands were dying and cracking.
And sorry about the crappy interview. Like I just moved into my home and you know, I know a lot of people were commenting like, oh yeah, it's so cool that he has an Alexa 35.
Oh, yeah, there's the protection.
He was shooting an Alexa 35, but like, guys, listen, that's like I just bought that camera and I'm excited to use it and I got to use it. Yeah, like
look, people are gonna hate.
I
just want to hate.
It's not like I'm a snobby filmmaker.
Yes,
I want to use the camera.
You're allowed. You're allowed.
Yeah,
you worked hard to get to achieve.
I saw it in the comments. I'm like, dude, like give me a break. I'm just trying to use, like I'm excited that I even bought that camera.
So,
I shot it. I should have shot it on the iPhone.
No, so
people would have been more excited.
This is what Nick was talking about. We took the light because he built the room. We had this gap, right?
Yeah.
So we threw the light and raked it across the wall, and it reflects in, and then you start seeing the blinds hit in. So light from outside is going to be bouncing all over the place. So this kind of mimics that to some degree, but I wouldn't be able to do that if Nick didn't build the room. Do you guys get that? Like he gave us the tools to do it by building the room inside the room.
And to be honest, that was totally I didn't think about that at the time to build the rooms. I just gave myself a little bit of access so we could walk around.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's another thing. Like
that shot,
it looks great, and I didn't even grade it. That's just like regular Rec 709. And look, if I would have done something, this is the same thing. Like even now, we were rushing in that area. I normally don't shoot on the light side, right? I would have shot. There's another shot where I shot on the other side. I was shot on the shadow side, but just think about like we've built. That
smile.
I know, he was so funny. We found this guy at Lowe's, and he was like the sweetest person. And we were like, "Do you want to be in a movie?" And his wife called us up, and she's like, "Is my son like?" I mean, she was like, "Is my husband escaping somewhere or something like that?" I'm like, "No, we're gonna use him to like film this thing for Adorama." And she's like, "Okay, as long as there's no like girls and he's not like getting abducted." I'm like, no.
Girls and getting abducted.
It's like
this is.
Yeah. So yeah, you see like all this furniture we got from a thrift shop. The lamp we got from a thrift shop. We got the books from a thrift shop. Everything in here is under $500.
Look, if you've ever been friends, or if you're a creator yourself that's been doing independent projects, you have amassed the most random things ever. Look, he makes fun of me. I have a jar of teeth, right? And I have that from an old shoot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
It's just funny.
it's
Cool,
It's like
but it's funny.
you know,
It's a little weird.
well, you know what's funny is I found out you can't buy human teeth without a medical license. So the closest thing you can
Well,
buy,
I would hope not.
the closest thing you can buy legally that mimics human teeth is actually bear teeth.
like dentures.
No, like teeth. Like I need.
Yeah.
Look, I shoot horror stuff, so it happens. All right.
I like horror stuff too.
But the moral of the story is that you accumulate random things. I had stacks of typewriters from a shoot. I've had old yearbooks because you leave them on tables and back. The stuff you get, and I think some of the funniest people I've met are prop house people.
Oh yeah.
they have the
like
weirdest
crazy,
stuff.
They have the craziest stuff.
And they look for pristine stuff. Like I remember I was hanging out with somebody that was working partially on Mad Men, and she had like Polaroid cameras in like the original package, shrink wrapped and stuff, like never touched, but it was so much money. But she's just like, I use this all the time. They book me to like put it in places, or like they're giving a gift to somebody in that time period. They need it to be pristine.
Yeah.
And then she's like, then a year later, she's like, I could have just printed the box.
Well, you know what's fun about like a lot of the props, like some props that I kept, I bought an old phone booth.
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
That's in my studio. I have like and I just keep it. I fix the light and I just use it as like a prop. And everybody that goes to my house is like, oh, that's so cool. You know, like old typewriters always look cool. Like old radios. Like you don't see these things anymore.
Were you filming some Bill and Ted Excellent Adventures?
Like no. It's funny because when I first bought the property, there was like old radios. Like we were digging around. It was like old radios. I found like a typewriter, and it's just like I'm in the middle of watching like what's that show called? It's
What show? What is it? You're not gonna find it unless you tell me what.
no, I'm like drawing a blank.
Give me some clues to what it looks like.
It's that show with no, not American Pickers. It's like that
Storage Wars.
That crazy guy that killed people in his apartment.
Dahmer?
Dahmer, yeah. And like the 1970s, they had like the glasses and the jars and like all those like old school things. Like
that Dahmer series was some of the most
crazy.
amazing lighting, unbelievable lighting in that.
And you could see, like, you could look at like some of the tubes that were in there. I'm sure they used Astera tubes and stuff like that, but you could use like quasars and nanolights.
Dude, the color theory, like the colors were like really important with the way they chose what got warm tones, what got greens, the exit signs, the colors of the doorways. Like that's an exit, but I'm not.
And that was on the Venice too.
Unbelievable
as well.
Unbelievable.
So like, I think like picking those like certain color sciences, you can like choose the palette of your film or commercial.
Yeah,
it's very important.
But you could tell like Joker.
I just watched that.
Whoa, like the color theory that they chose, that wasn't an accident.
It's crazy.
They were like deliberately putting these colors into you, and you were constantly like feeling off and awkward.
Yeah.
But that was the point of it. I just saw Leave Tomorrow Behind, or Leave the World Behind, and everything started out with a
the message they're sending us.
Yeah, but if you watch that, everything scene wise was starting with like a really jarring camera angle because they didn't want you to feel comfortable the entire time.
Yeah, no,
you know, a lot of it's all in language. Oh my God, we could go on forever, but we're running it into the ground here. We're going over.
What are we going to Peter Luger's after this?
Oh my God, I wish. Yeah,
I wish. I got to pay the Amex off.
Just selling on Ari. Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Guys, thank you guys so much. You always coming through. Nick we're going to get Nick to work in this space to do.
Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding me?
You guys, you and Fernando are like
long overdue to get you in here. Check out, Nick has a ton of videos on our channel as far as the Komodo, the Godox 1200, the Lumix S1H. I mean, the videos
even
going
the Leica M11 is cool.
The Leica M11. I forgot I did that video.
Yeah, I love that video.
You love that camera, and I think that's what came across.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like go like, oh, monochrome, like you totally explain what you're, why and what you're into and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like, even that video, like I was out upstate New York and we were shooting on the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro and it was -6 or 7 degrees. That camera was still alive.
What's with you and freezing stuff?
I'm just saying, like I was so impressed. Like I was telling my buddy Josh, I'm like, dude, that camera survived. Like that's a $2,500 cinema camera. You know, so like, and I've used that. I've had 2 of them. and I've used that on all my Adorama videos.
Well, I'll say this: if there's
So,
one
like-
thing about cameras in this age getting smaller and running hotter, that's kind of some of it too. Is that they can handle colder
100%.
temperatures? Absolutely.
Same thing with this thing.
Well, this
Like
has an active fan in it.
Yeah, it's got an active fan in it. And you know what I love about the L mount too? Like, just so everybody knows, like, L mount has this, and I know this is like cheesy to talk about, but like, if you put a PL mount on here, you can actually screw a hole here. So like, you don't need a lens support, and that's like a big deal. Like, you can take this and use it as a director's finder.
Yeah,
And I think that's a really cool thing that Leica and Panasonic teamed up to make something that's like thinking about the future.
Well, Lumix, I think, absolutely has a pulse on filmmakers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving you shutter angle in cameras. Why isn't anybody else doing that?
No, I
You
know.
It's so ridiculous to me. It's a calculator. Come on, what are you doing?
I know.
It drives me nuts, and it's not like a secret. People are actively asking for things in these cameras.
Everybody that shoots stills is going to be asked to shoot video one day as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, if they're not dabbling in it right now.
Well, you know what's funny is I get a lot of guys that are shooting like quick spec commercial stuff, and they're asking me like questions about shooting stills because they're like, I don't have a lot of money on this budget, so I'm going to be shooting the stills for this, and this.
Yeah.
What would you do for that? And I'm like, well, that's interesting because years ago it was me going, hey, Fernando, how do I do audio for this thing? Like that's what it was. It's kind of going back the other way now, which is really, really interesting. I think at some point we're all going to be just doing like what we keep saying, creators and content is for a reason because no one's doing stills solo anymore. No one's doing video solo anymore.
No, and I think that, you know, what's great about what's going on right now, like with all the new camera technology, I feel like look at all the DSLRs that we have. Like, you could shoot video with the GFX. I probably wouldn't, right? Just because the depth of field is just too much. But it is great. The FX3, it's amazing, right? So, like, you look at somebody with an FX3, like, you can literally go buy a 24-70
And just go.
and a Polar Pro ND filter and just go.
Yeah.
You don't need to go crazy.
You know, it's funny when they say Netflix approved and all that stuff. Meanwhile, there was movies that were shot only on iPhone that were on Netflix like years ago. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's for
what is
original
happening?
content, and like half the time, like, let's be honest, like if you're talking about that, you're not shooting for Netflix because like if somebody is shooting for Netflix, they probably own their own camera. If they can't use that camera, they're going to pick the camera that is going to be for that job.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Right? It might not be an Arri, it might not be a Venice.
No, I think the discussion really
it could
now
be a
is
red, it could be it could be anything.
Yeah, but I think the discussion now is more accessibility to something that's approved. So it's not even a thought. Like the
Yeah.
R5C, when it got a firmware update to be Netflix approved, that gave that much more options. People that already own it. He's got an R5C. Now he's got a Netflix approved camera. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think more important than the cameras and the lenses, get good monitors. That's like the thing that I see like people skimp out on. They'll have this like great camera and then they'll put like a crappy monitor. I'm like, you're shooting this all wrong because now you're exposing wrong. Your colors are wrong. Everything is incorrect.
Your portal to what it's going to be is off. So then how can you be on?
I rather have an FX3 with the Cine 7 than a red or an Arri with a crappy monitor. Let's put it that way. Because I know what I'm filming. I see the image. I see
Fair.
the best image that I can see. If that's what I can afford, then don't be afraid to like. So like, let's just say you can buy a Komodo, right? For instance, but you don't have money to buy lenses or a monitor. I would rather have an FX3, a good monitor and good lenses, than a red and crappy lenses and crappy monitor. So like you have to buy everything good. You don't want to like buy a great camera and then skimp out on the lenses.
Well, it's
or
just
skimp out on the monitor.
It's the same thing with stills. When I see people shooting tethered into laptops with really bad displays on them, like the reason
It's like, what's the point?
Yes, it's like, what are you even using the tether for?
Yeah, what's the point?
It's like, it's crazy.
Like you got to get an ISO or you got to get like a good BenQ.
I mean, the MacBook displays are really
MacBook
good.
displays are really good.
Really good. If you're shooting for a calibration purpose,
Yes.
ISOs and stuff like that, there's a reason for that, and
That's
that's
for
a
print.
whole
Yeah.
rabbit hole. Yeah,
But
it's for
guys,
print.
this is why like I calibrate all my monitors. Like this is why the Small HD is so good because it's P3 calibrated.
P3
right?
is Apple's color space.
Yes.
If you don't know.
So like when you're shooting film or video, your color space is going to match this guy. This is exactly what everybody's looking at.
So I said this on Twitter. I said, sending my images after I'm grading them to my phone is the same thing as like people perfecting an album going into their car to listen to it, because that's where everyone's going to listen or ingest your work. So if it doesn't look right here, I'd rather it be tuned a little more for my phone, which I personally think goes a little too blue.
Well, 100%. Well, think about it like this. Look, for instance, audio. Back in the day, they would have to dumb it down for the speakers, right? Because the studio speakers are so good. Okay,
They're also meant to be flat.
Yeah,
studio
like
speakers.
like in my office, I have Bowers and Wilkins. If I'm bringing a sound engineer or I'm editing on those speakers, it's the same thing that goes for visuals. I'm editing on those speakers. There is no way that I'm not going to get the best quality image or audio for that person to hear on an iPhone. It might sound weird on an iPhone because those images on that monitor or the speakers are colored.
Right.
They're colored to perfection. You're going to hear the best. You're going to see the best, right? That's like me coloring for my Sony OLED at home. Like, not everybody's going to look at an $8,000 monitor. It doesn't make sense.
But that's the other thing that people chase, is this crazy idea that is the way it's going to be seen by everybody.
You have to come down to the standard of what everybody, like, I'll go to my car, I'll go to the phone. All right, looks great on the phone, sounds good in the car, sounds good on this crappy speaker. Cool. Looks good on, grandma's Black Friday TV because that TV's turning pink. Cool, no problem. I could watch it on all different monitors. I listen to it on everything. So then I know, all right, you're going to have to pick your poison a little bit.
Yep.
and not say, look, this is the way I edit it, this is the way I listen to it, and this is the way it is.
But you also got to think about final destination. Like that vertical video, it's going to be ingested on a phone.
100%. So just use that in your head, frame for it. Always give yourself a little bit of headroom. I know it sucks too, but it's
even
just
grade for it. Like that's the thing, is like, I don't think people chase this concept of like, this is what it looks like on my monitor, and then everyone's going to experience my work the same way. No, they're not. I'm sorry. And no matter how high end people have things as far as displays go, every brand interprets color different, has a different tone to it. So for example, when we were doing the monitors here in the event space, I wanted to get something I knew could handle what would mimic what most people have that they're going to plug in, which is MacBook. So I needed to find something that had a color space that is so close that if I'm looking at my tether,
and those are good, those monitors.
Yeah,
those
are
Sony A95s.
A95s. Yeah,
that's what I got too.
Yeah, it's just the control scheme that kind of gets into me.
Yeah, they're worth the penny. It's like 90% of like what a proper production monitor. Yeah, like a Sony OLED monitor.
And it's got the gloss. It's
really amazing.
The colors. But the other thing that I had to worry about, and this is getting a little too crazy, is I found monitors that I thought would be more accurate color, but if I wasn't looking directly at them, the image goes away.
Oh yeah, from the angle, the field of view,
angle of view, right? So I had to get IPS style monitors to some degree. So no matter where someone's sitting, this is still an image to them, and it's an accurate image. It's not just like washed out, which I'm sure a lot of people have endured over the past. Yeah. We can go on and on about this. Nick, we always do this. We always go way too over things.
I know we go,
but he's got to get back on schedule to go. Terrorize Maury.
Better though. Like in the beginning, remember?
Oh no,
when I first started doing these videos,
the goal is to always get better, no matter what it is.
It was like stuttering and the awkwardness.
Oh no, the awkwardness is totally gone, Nick. Trust me, it's totally gone.
I'm like,
well, once you get comfortable with anything, you're just doing it, right?
Well, I actually like you guys now. No, I'm just kidding.
Just get you gear, and you're like, I like these guys. I like these Adorama guys.
I was like, you know what? No more gear, guys. I got to figure out how to pay my mortgage.
Listen, I just want to really quickly, I want to say thanks to Pelican for sponsoring this. You guys know Pelican. Hit the links down below. Check out all the cases. I know you definitely use Pelican.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then thanks to Sailaway Coffee. And don't forget, guys, if you want to check out Sailaway Coffee and save some money on it, check out the discount code Admiral15 at checkout. And I'm going to call there.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out too, So
that's what I was going to do. Nick Dabas right there. We call him Dobby, He hands me a sock. It's all good, Nick. Nick will be on the channel more, and we're going to get him in the space. He wants to do some demos, so I'm going to put him to work. Anyway, Nick, it's always good seeing you.
Dude, thank you so much, for real. Of course.
And we'll see you guys. If you're new, hit subscribe, hit like. Oh, wait, I forgot. I'm live next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m., I'm shooting Creating Portraits from Scratch. It got postponed from yesterday. So check that out on the new channel. Adorama Events is a new YouTube channel. We're only at 4,000 subscribers, so I'm probably guessing you're not subscribed. Go over there, hit subscribe, and don't miss anything that's coming out of space, including when Nick goes live for his demo. All right,
Thank
guys. I will see you on the next one. Be good out there. Later.
Yeah, that.